This is a Pubcast Shot. I'm John Loomer. Your stubbornness is killing your results. Let's go. So consider this a bit of an intervention. If you're stubbornly stuck in your ways as an advertiser, unwilling to evolve with the changes, this episode is for you. Now, I speak to you as a peer with experience in this area. I am a creature of habit who requires routine and structure to be productive. Change is chaos for me. The result is that 14 years into my business, I have certain processes and software that are largely unchanged. I've conducted a weekly webinar for my private community for more than 10 years now. I still use the same webinar slides template that features a profile photo from 2014. I still use the same logo that a friend of mine developed in early 2012. Brand colors remain unchanged. So, yeah, I get it. There are certain things that are my safe space when it comes to my business. It's comfortable and familiar. And when it's a software or system, I've perfected it in a way that works for me. Now, the reality is that I was forced to make some changes during the past few years. And if I hadn't, I wouldn't be recording this podcast right now. Who knows what I'd be doing? So I want to share that story with you and then tie it back to advertising. Now, you may not know my origin story, so let me tell that briefly. I've had a crazy journey to get where I am today. Now, I unfortunately need to fast forward through much of it, which includes a philosophy major, 5 years in insurance, 3 amazing seasons with the NBA, and 2.5 years of layoffs. But I launched johnloomer.com back in 2011 with no plans or knowledge of how to start a business. And somehow it took off relatively quickly. It was a whirlwind and it caught me completely off guard. Within 2 years of being laid off, I had built something I never could have dreamed of. And then I did everything I could to maintain that for the next 8 years or so. My goal was to work less, to spend more time with my 3 boys as they were growing up. So I'd coach all of their baseball teams, and it was an absolute blast. I do not regret 1 minute of those memories. But I made a conscious decision that scaling my business was not important. Change was scary because I might lose what I had. So everything about my model remained unchanged. My blog was a centerpiece of my business. I'd use it to attract traffic and build my email list. And I'd leverage my email list to sell courses and memberships. Well, the effectiveness of this approach plateaued beginning around 2018 or 19. A slow descent began because I didn't evolve. But it still worked well enough, so I tried to ignore these early warning signs. Then COVID hit and everything kind of collapsed. And I honestly lost all focus. While other marketers were taking advantage of this move toward virtual, I mostly hid. Video exploded, but I was extremely uncomfortable with that format. So when I created, I stuck with the tried and true. I blogged. I posted to Facebook. I created courses. And all of it worked less and less with each passing month. So my youngest son was 14, and I was wrapping up my final summer as a baseball coach in 2022. And it came at the exact right time as my business was quickly fading away and I needed to dedicate more focus there. So I was confronted with some difficult questions. What could I do differently that I wasn't doing then? Video. It was obvious, but this was painful. So I committed to that format that I avoided for so long. It was not easy. At least one video per day for about 2 years. That led me to more platforms, moving beyond Facebook. So I was finally consistently on Instagram, YouTube, and even LinkedIn. This new approach changed everything. It helped stop that fast descent and stabilize things. Stubbornness nearly killed my business. Now, while I haven't been able to bring back the magic of 2015 to 17, short form video is why I'm still here. And relevance after 14 years is no small feat. Now, let's bring it back to advertising. First with my own evolution. So I get it, the change is hard. There's been so much change around meta advertising, first of all with the name, since iOS 14. And it feels impossible to keep up. I still remember being very vocal in my complaints about audience expansion when it was initially introduced. I was deeply invested in micro-targeting and remarketing, and I took pride in isolating the ideal audience. So this move, I felt attacked. Targeting strategies were what I became known for, and expansion was a threat to my brand. So I resisted. Because I resisted, I was getting left behind. And I know that some of the bigger advertisers who found success with broad targeting, and maybe some of the newer advertisers, took me less seriously as a result. So it took me a while and countless tests to come around, but I did. I had to set aside my ego and break through the fear of this change. So stubbornness nearly made my old school approach to advertising irrelevant, but I eventually embraced the new ways. So now let's talk about you. Are you still stubbornly using the same strategies you used several years ago? Do those strategies fly in the face of Meta's recommended best practices? Do you constantly find yourself rejecting Meta's recommended changes to improve results? Do you find yourself defending your approach to advertisers who are working with the best practices playbook? Do you obsess over isolating your audience? Or do you mostly trust algorithmic targeting? Do you remove placements or usually trust Advantage Plus placements? Do you have a complex web of campaigns and ad sets, or do you take a simplified approach? Maybe you've convinced yourself that the old way is still the best way, and you may ignore signs that results aren't what they once were. If this is true, if you're not careful, your stubbornness to change will make you irrelevant, but there's still hope. So here's the bottom of the glass. Change is hard, and I'm certainly an example of that. There's comfort in the familiar, and it's easy to distrust what's new. But if you want to remain relevant, you need to break through that. Meta advertising has changed a ton during the past few years, but guess what? It's not slowing down. AI and automation are going to have a major impact on the future of advertising. It doesn't have to happen all at once, but be open to new things. Understand where we're headed and be on the side of the new features and innovation. Don't let your stubbornness get in the way of your future progress. I create a ton of free content, and I admit it. Look, if you run an agency, you're busy, you can't keep up with everything I'm writing and publishing on a regular basis. And there's a lot to know, right? So look, you'll be forgiven if you're not keeping up with the latest new feature, latest changes that are happening in meta advertising world. So while I do publish a blog post every week, I also, beginning at the end of 2022, publish short form videos on a regular basis. That is now part of my toolbox as well. But not only do I do that, but I've created a separate section of my website for these, what I call quick video tutorials, which feature a 1-minute video at the top and a shortened blog post that expands on that video, provides screenshots as necessary below it. And you may not be getting those alerts or know about those videos right now, but you can change that. All you got to do, go to johnloomer.com/video-alerts, and you can subscribe. Every time I publish a new video, you'll get emailed a notification. All right, so thanks so much for joining me again today. Until next time, do awesome things. I'm out.